Hey guys, it's Hunter here, and I'm here with another video. And this is not really a list as much; it is just me analyzing teams. And I decided, hey, let's do something really interesting. Like what I'm gonna be doing from now on is like every Wednesday or so, is just break down a division, teams, drafts, and just kind of give my opinion on everything. And this week I decided to pick one I think it's one of the coolest divisions in the NFL, and that's the NFC East. I like this team because I like this division because it's so erratic. You can't really predict anything. It's so hard to see, like to try to think where each team's going to end, especially this year. This year you have the Cowboys who finished 8-8, Giants 9-7 last year, Eagles 4-12, and the Redskins 10-6. There's a lot going on here. I mean, you have the Cowboys who they always could compete in the playoffs just due to talent, but then you have the coaching aspect and then the horrible management by Jerry Jones. But this year they finally drafted a lineman in the first round, but too bad it was a third round caliber center. But that being said, they also drafted a big tight end in Escobar, very big tight end. I think he was a good talent, good value, but I don't think there really was a necessity for it. They still have Jason Witten, James Hanna, and John Phillips. I think they could use that pick on something else. Uh, um, they've drafted a receiver, very big. He's going to be the third receiver. He's really going to be helping them out. They drafted Wilcox, the safety. He's going to be a starting safety for them, no doubt, in my opinion. He did some really good things in college, and I expect him to do the same for the Cowboys. And especially, I think they should have a great defense this year with Monty Kiffin. They converted the Marcus Ware to the weak side defensive end. They have Bruce Carter, Sean Lee, and Anthony Spencer, Sam. And I think the only thing that could really be holding them back is the other safety played by Barry Church and the possible problems of injuries, but they converted to a 4-3. I expect Jay Rowlett to have less problems and complications staying on the field because there's less stress on him. DeMarcus Ware is playing on the line. That's his best fit for him. He's not very good in coverage. He's a good run stopper, but his main thing is just chasing after the quarterback and letting him play weekend is really gonna help him out. You have Anthony Spencer, Sean Lee, and Bruce Carter. I think they have one of the best linebacker sets in the NFL. I mean, prior to the 3-4-4-3 switch, they had DeMarcus Ware, Anthony Spencer, Sean Lee, Bruce Carter. Even though they were the vast majority of them were dealing with problems, you really can't find anything better. I mean, you have the 49ers, but in my opinion, I don't know. I really wouldn't. I don't want to say it right now because I'm thinking about doing that linebacker list anyway. And anyway, I'm moving on. And they also drafted Randle, a running back, which I think should probably ease them off and try to like get the replacement for Felix Jones' loss. Because DeMarco Murray is a very good running back, but you don't know if he's gonna be hurt or not. Even still, then they also drafted another outside linebacker, Holloman. I don't know what to expect out of him. I think it was just a replacement pick because the linebacker played from them last year was pretty weak once they lost their starters. And let's move on to the Giants. The Giants, I thought they did all right last year. They did okay. They could have done better, but this team, they're another team that could either make it to the playoffs or just barely be 500 like they were this year. I mean, they were 9-7, barely above 500, but I think they could go 10-6, 11-5. This is a very good team as well. They have Victor Cruz, Akeem Nicks. Even though there's some complications with Victor Cruz right now, that's worrying to head coach Tom Coughlin. They still have Eli Manning, that ferocious defensive line. I like their corners. I think the linebackers are pretty solid. I mean, they don't very rarely make mistakes, but they have some guys who make plays when they're needed to. I mean, they had Chase Blackburn out of the second Super Bowl against the Patriots, where he ended up picking Tom Brady off one-on-one covering Gronkowski. Anyway, that's whatever. So they drafted an offensive tackle in Pugh. He's a very good tackle. Jonathan Hankins, a very good defensive tackle. Um, More defensive end. I don't know what to expect out of him, but as the Giants, they need to have good defensive ends all around. They need good defensive ends. And then, surprisingly, they drafted Ryan Nassib. I don't know if I'm saying his last name correctly, but Eli Manning's starting to get up there in a little bit. I could see the necessity for drafting him, but considering he was projected to be the first quarterback drafted, and he fell all the way to where the Giants drafted him, it was kind of shocking. It really was, in my opinion. But anyway, it's a steal for the Giants. They won there. Let's move on. They drafted a safety in Taylor, which I think is they drafted him because of the loss of Kenny Phillips. Even though they have Stevie Brown, who played exceptionally well last year, I think it's still kind of a hard loss losing that kind of player. Then they drafted a guard in Herman, and then they drafted They drafted a running back in Cox, So I think this team has a surplus of running backs. They have David Wilson, who last year he was dealing with some immaturity problems, like where he would be crying after fumbles. And then they have Ahmad Bradshaw, who he has some fumbling problems as well, but he's a solid running back. And let's move on to the Eagles. I think it's going to be between the Eagles and the Cowboys to compete for the #1 spot. I mean, I would say the Redskins, but the Redskins have too many problems. I mean, I just don't really know what to expect out of them. Anyway, I'll explain the Redskins later, but right now I'm talking about the Eagles. The Eagles got Chip Kelly. That's a huge addition. He's going to bring some energy, some hype, a little more excitement to the team, which will probably bring fans out and bring a little bit more support, which will help the players' confidence, because you watched them last year, they had no confidence in themselves. They gave up. I mean, last game of the season, they lost 42-7 against the Giants. In my opinion, the Giants were better than last year, no doubt, but 42-7 is ridiculous for a divisional rivalry game. Anyway, they drafted Lane Johnson, a great offensive tackle, and they're going to be converting him to right tackle most likely. They still have Jason Peters, which is definitely an upgrade to what the line they had last year, considering Jason Peters did miss some of the season last year. And then you draft one of the top tackles available in the draft. You have Nick Foles. They also drafted Matt Barkley, which those two are going to be competing for the backup starting position. They still have Michael Vick. I think there's still a little bit left in his tank. He's still a mobile quarterback. He's fast. He has a good arm. And I think with Chip Kelly, it's really going to help him fit what he does best and just play fast, pedal to the metal football. And then I think Deshaun Jackson, he's going to get the best out of Deshaun Jackson too. I mean, in my opinion, Deshaun Jackson was a bit of a punk last year. I mean, jogging on the field. I've already said that. He jogs on the field constantly. I ranked him as one of the most overrated players in the NFL. But Chip Kelly I think, is going to do a great job. I project them to go double the ones they had last year, like 9 wins instead of 4. Anyway, and then you have the defensive aspect. I think they did well. They did well there too. I mean, they got an entire new secondary. I mean, with Bradley Fletcher, I think he was an underrated corner last year when he was on the Rams roster. I think they just completely and totally upgraded their secondary. I think that's enough to say. I think the linebacker side went underdressed. They really didn't do anything to really fix it that much. But let's look at the draft picks. They picked up Lane Johnson, Zach Ertz, best tight end in the draft. That goes. No, I'm sorry. That's how I forgot. They got Zach Ertz, the second best. The second best tight end of the draft, which is still he might be the second best, but he was competing for that #1 spot in my opinion. He was competing up there. They drafted a defensive tackle in Logan, which no doubt is to help fill the necessity for that position, considering they lost 2 veterans from that position from last year. Matt Barkley, I've already said this. And the funny thing about Matt Barkley, had he gone to the draft with Andrew Luck and RG3, he would have been a first-round pick. He would have been the 3rd best quarterback in the draft. And then he went this draft and barely cracked the top 100. He was the 98th pick, which is just funny how it works. I mean, some players say stay for your senior year, you'll get better draft stock and you'll be higher rated. When this dude, he dropped massively. He was up here and then he barely, I don't know. And then they drafted Wolff on the strong safety, a Kruger, a defensive end, Poyer, a cornerback, and King, a defensive end. So they drafted the defensive side of the ball for the last 4 picks, 2 secondary, 2 defensive linemen. That's what I'm saying. Their linebacker play, in my opinion, wasn't very good at all. They have D'Amico Ryans, a veteran, but he was solid at Atlanta. But right now, you can't have him do everything. I mean, you need some sort of experience or athleticism at your linebacker position. The Eagles just don't have it. I mean, they don't have the experience that can help the young guys around him. And they think they have that with D'Amico Ryans, but he's just not it. And they don't have the athleticism and the playmaking ability by the other guys around him. Anyway, so that's the Eagles. I do project them to do extremely well this year. I expect them to have a major turnaround just because of the fact of Chip Kelly. And let's move on to the Redskins, the team #1 in their division last year. Big concern. Will RG3 be back for the first game of the season? He does have the knee problems, but the thing is, you have Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk Cousins' first game, he started 300 yards right there. I think regardless of who's the quarterback there, they're still going to get a good offensive game out of their quarterbacks, regardless if it's RG3 or Kirk Cousins. Because mainly, Mike Shanahan's a bit of a genius. He's a great coach, especially when he was in Denver. And right now, he's starting to turn the program around. You're really starting to see he's getting some help. And I think they had a really good draft, in my opinion. They drafted Amerson, a cornerback. Even without a first-round pick, they did it phenomenal in the draft. They picked up a cornerback to help them. They picked up a tight end in Reed, who really should help Fred Davis. Strong safety in Thomas, who's really going to help this safety play because they lost LaRon Landry, and I don't think any other safeties really did anything that was a major contribution. No, I'm sorry, they've been trying to fill that LaRon Landry position they've lost those years ago, and they still haven't done it. I think this guy could possibly help them. Anyway, I'm sorry if I made it seem like they just lost LaRon Landry recently. But anyway, let's move on. They picked up a running back in Thompson, which I think they really don't need. They have Roy Halua as a bit of a quicker back. Then they have Alfred Morris, who's just your workhorse. I mean, he can carry the ball 20, 30 times a game easily. Then you have RG3, who can run the ball himself. And if he's not healthy, then you still have Kirk Cousins, and he can throw the ball 30 times a game. And they just have so many weapons offensively. And defensively, I love Brian Rackpone and Brian Kerrigan. Both those guys can get after the quarterback. They're both good against the run. And they both are just very good outside linebackers in general. And then they have, in my opinion, the second most underrated player in the NFL, London Fletcher. You look at this dude's statistics, it's ridiculous. He almost had 130, 140 tackles last year, and he had 5 picks. I think the only downfall of this team is their cornerbacks. Unless this rookie, Amerson, can really pull something around, I don't like their cornerbacks. I think D'Angelo Hall's a bit of a punk. I said he's the Deshaun Jackson of the defense side of the ball. And I don't like the other cornerback. I just don't. I don't like either one of them. I think they need some. They could upgrade the receiver position, but I do think Santana Moss is he's kind of underrated. He's very fast. He has good hands, and he has some good routes. Pierre Garçon, he's a speed demon. He makes some ridiculous catches, but his hands are consistent. But he's a speed demon as well. Then what's this dude? Number 11, the dude that just absolutely torched the Cowboys in the second game they met this season, where he just torched them across the middle. This dude was blazing fast. Anyway, let's move on. They picked up Jenkins, who, in my opinion, is going to be the third down quarterback, rusher kind of guy. He's going to come down on passing plays just to get after the quarterback. And they picked up another strong safety, actually. They picked up 2 strong safeties. I guess they're going to have them compete for that strong safety position, which I think is good. I mean, if you draft one rookie at a certain position, and you're like, here, compete for the position. Well, most likely, they're going to be a little bit discouraged. I mean, but if you draft 2 rookie safeties, they feel like they have the equal sort of level, that they come in, clean slate, they compete against each other. They push each other even more. So if you have one guy who's discouraged, he's not going to perform as well. But if you have 2 guys that feel like they can get the job, they're going to get the best and max amount of play out of that certain player. And oddly enough, they also drafted, their last pick was another running back, which I don't quite understand. I mean, I thought the running back play last year was exceptionally well, and Alfred Morris was a rookie last year himself, and he was top, I think it was like 3rd or 2nd. I'm sorry, guys, if I messed the statistic up. I didn't look at it. But he was definitely in the top rushing yards in terms of rookies, and I think he was definitely top 10 in terms of actual rushing yards and amongst running backs in the NFL. And I think this team could do really well. And I said earlier it's going to either be the Eagles or the Cowboys. I don't know. I think the Giants have the least amount of ability, basically because I don't think they don't have that much talent compared to these other guys. But I don't know. It's a throw up from whatever. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. Tell your friends if they like football. If you have anybody who wants to watch this kind of stuff, I break down football. I talk about lists. I get in depth of it if you haven't noticed already. And I would just like thanks for watching my videos. All right, see you around.